Yeah, well, no, yeah. On a new, yeah.
Hello, this is Ryan Riccitelli with asnews.net, and today we have a special guest out of Orlando, and his name is Rusty Malinoski, and I hope I got that right, Rusty. He's a professional wakeboarder, and he's looks like he's won 5 major pro events this year. And Rusty, why don't you just introduce yourself?
What's going on, you guys? I'm Rusty Malinoski. I'm originally from Canada, live now in the U.S., in Orlando, Florida. 5 major events this year, went well. Ended up winning one of the pro tours, which is in Reno, wake stock, board stock, the Taiga Pro-Am, and an Australian pro tour as well. And second overall in the World Series, and third at the U.S. Nationals. So it was a successful 05 for sure.
That's quite a resume, and you know, you've been doing this for how long?
2005 was my second year professionally.
But I mean, how long have you been actually like riding a wakeboard?
Going on 6 or 7 years. I have to think about it. I think it's 6 years now.
And you're from Canada.
You betcha. Saskatchewan, central Canada. No mountains, nothing, just flat.
And where did you like grow up riding and stuff, or how did you get like into the whole board sport scene?
Just we've quite a few lakes in Saskatchewan, and just had a buddy, bringing this crazy looking snowboard. That's what we thought it was, out to go try behind the boat, and got into it and absolutely fell in love with wakeboarding. It was like I had a passion for it, and it just just continued from there. And just made that what I wanted to do for a living.
Did you grow up snowboarding or doing any other like skateboarding or anything like that?
Yeah, as a kid, just all that stuff, but nothing like I took to like wakeboarding. The first time I did it was just like that's what I knew I wanted to do that for, for the rest of for however long I can do it, till however long my body will hold that.
And what was like the time when like you decided, all right, it's time that I need to take this seriously, turn pro? Like, where was that point in your career?
That was probably four and a bit years ago. It was just I came down to Florida like 3 years ago, just for like a month, just because it was snowing and freezing back home. I came down for a month, and in that month, just riding every day, it really progressed. And some people seen some natural ability in me, and told me that I need to seriously move forward with this, and I did just that. Went back home for that summer, and then the following winter came down for like 5 months or something, and that's when it all really started to happen for me.
Basically, like the word is that you train really hard, and you're very focused on the competitions. And like, what do you do to like when you're going into this? Like, what's your training regimen like?
Well, right now it's off season, but I'm at the gym 5 days a week. And just like I play hockey 2-3 times a week as well, and then just ride for sure once or twice a day. Just to keep real busy, active for sure, keep your body strong, healthy, and then as soon as the season starts, it's just so much traveling that you don't have time to be at the gym 5 days a week, and you don't get a chance to play hockey and do all those other things that keep you in shape. So if you go into the season with that much more in shape, I guess by the end you're not so burnt out and injured and whatnot. So just like kind of like overload, and then it's almost like the season is a kind of a relaxed time to focus on content and traveling and doing clinics and whatnot.
You're living in Orlando, and like, what is that like for you being a pro wakeboarder? You're kind of in the mix in the middle of it. Is it a great place to train, or is it a place where there's too many wakeboarders, you can't get?
No, Orlando's such a great place. It's always warm. There's so many lakes. It's a mecca of wakeboarding for sure. That's where you come if you want to be a pro wakeboarder, I guess. Just everyone's here. Both the magazines are here. It's just definitely the place to be. There's lakes, all over the city, and it's not that hard to get on a lake. And obviously they have the cable park right in Orlando here to practice your sliding and everything. It's just everything's really geared for wakeboarding right in the city. So
usually ride with?
I ride with like Chad Sharp, Danny Harf, Watson, Parks. Kind of mix it up. Ride with almost everyone.
So it's not hard to find someone to go out and ride with every day in Orlando?
Oh, definitely not.
You know, a lot of people probably like that listen to this, you know, they're not that tuned into the whole pro wakeboarding scene, and a lot of them, they get the magazines and they've probably seen your picture, and, you know, they probably don't even associate a name with it. But the one thing I know that everyone always asks is, like, you know, like, what kind of boards are you guys riding? Like, what's your setup like?
I'm a little bit bigger of a guy, and I ride a 142, kind of like the standard biggest, one of the biggest, like, wakeboards you pretty much can get. There's like a few 40s, but 42 is a pretty big board, real wide, just a big stable board. The new stuff coming out now, it's like, everyone's got so many crazy ideas, and, you know, flow through channels and boards, and it's just, you know, I think it's going to be really blowing up with what you're going to see in the next few years, like out of the manufacturers, board manufacturers, for sure. Just our bindings are almost like snowboard boots now, you know. There's a lot of closed toe bindings, and feels like you're flipping a pillow. It's just saving our knees and our backs, for sure.
Do you modify your boards at all, like, or do you just ride the straight stock setups?
Well, like, I have a pro model board, so that's what R&D is all about. Just getting the board before it's on production to exactly how you want your board to ride. So by the time it's on the shelves, it's exactly what you want.
And, you know, I know, like, wakeboarders, they're like the pro wakeboarders that I guess I've traveled with, or they're really particular about, you know, obviously the boat and the wake. And how do you set up your boat?
Well, I ride for Mastercraft, and I have a 06 X-Star, and just do it stock valves, and then four fast tracks in it, and you know, usually 2 or 3 people, and it just makes for an insane wake.
What's on the schedule now? Like, you know, obviously it's off season. What are you doing?
We do a lot of boat shows, travel around the U.S. to different cities, holding boat shows, and, you know, representing your sponsors at those. If it's for you know, your board company or your boat company, either or. So pretty busy with that, and you know, trying to go out and do a little snowboarding too.
And so this next year, you know, you're heading into the new year, and there's a lot of pressure on you, and what's that like?
I think '05 was the year that was, you know, either going to make or, you know, kind of break me, but it definitely it was a make year for sure. And I think this year it's just it's only going to get better with 5 to 10 main events, you know. Just I feel now that I have more confidence than ever going into contests, and it's just it's a good feeling. I don't feel like I have pressure on me at all anymore. I've proven myself, and now it's just time to really kick it into high gear and, you know, do the best that I can.
And, you know, this obviously with all these wins, how's that helped you with your sponsorships?
Yeah, the new old contracts, and pick up a few new sponsors. It's been really good. I mean, it's now not so worried about making rent. It's more like I know I have a paycheck, and I can, you know, 100% focus on what my job is, and that's you know, training and being behind the boat every day.
And who are some of your sponsors? Why don't you drop them now?
All right, I ride for Mastercraft Boats, J-Star Wakeboard, Body Gloves, Fox Clothing, Roswell Towers, OGO Luggage, and I believe that's everyone. I hope I didn't forget anyone. I got it. That's all of them.
That's always a tough question. You gotta always remember all your sponsors, man.
You gotta think about looking at your board and seeing all the stickers on it.
That's the work of having all those sponsors, is having to put all those stickers on your board.
Logos, yeah, no kidding.
Well, and, you know, obviously this year you've gotten to travel quite a bit around the United States, and where's, like, your favorite place in the States to ride?
Oh, my favorite place is definitely just in my backyard here in Orlando on our lake. Just, you know, it's so easy and no pressure. You just go out and really have fun. But I've seen a lot of cool places in California. Did a houseboat trip, Lake Powell. It's a beautiful place. There's there's been a ton of cool places that we rode. I was in Japan this year, and Japan was an awesome experience. And just to go to like Japan to wakeboard is something I never thought I'd be going to Japan, period. But to go to wakeboard, Paris, Russia, Australia 3 times, New Zealand, just been all over.
This year you won the Australian Pro Tour stop, and like, what was that like?
Well, that was my first win in '05, so it was really exciting, and I was just happy to finally get a win. I mean, for a while there, I was riding really well and just riding all the time at home. Then I'd get to a contest and I'd just let my head get crazy, and I wouldn't be able to focus and do what I do every day, and just fall on tricks that I typically don't fall on. And once I got that out of the way, it was just kind of everything just kind of kept falling into place and just happened, weekend after weekend.
Well, I know you're a busy guy, and I appreciate your time today, and we always just let everyone drop bombs to all their friends and stuff, so why don't you, say hello or say thanks to whoever you need to say thanks to.
What up to all my Canadian fans and all the people all over the world that, that follow the sport. And I appreciate you guys all coming to the contest when you can and, staying in tune with us. That's awesome. And to all my sponsors, and thank you, man, for putting me on the show.
Yeah, and where can everyone find more information on you?
Obviously I don't have my own website, but Wakeworld.com. There's Wakeboarder.com, WakePicks. there's a bunch of websites with everybody on them. So definitely check that out. Check the magazines. We're all over the place. Fuel TV. It's been a big help for us. Fuel TV. There's quite a bit of wakeboarding on that station. So that's
What about any DVDs that have come out?
The Butter Effect is the latest wakeboard video that I'm in, and we're currently shooting another video. I don't know the name of it yet or anything. We're only about a month and a half deep of riding, so we have plenty of big trips planned and lots of killer footage. So I'm not sure what it's going to be called, but it'll be out probably mid-season.
Well, cool, man. Well, hey, I just want to try and get some of that information in, and hey, man, have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks, you guys.
All right, man. Hello, this is Ryan Riccitelli with ASNews.net, and today I have Alec Cooke, also known as Ace Cool. He lives over in Hawaii, and he is putting on the 2nd annual Felony Tow-In Championship over on Oahu. And why don't you introduce yourself and tell everyone what you're doing over there?
Well, how's it, Ryan? I hear there's a lot of people out there now through the modern technology. You can get our voices out to the whole modern world. So all you guys listening, yep, we are running the 2nd annual North Shore Felony Tow-In Surfing Championships 2005-2006 straight out of Haleiwa Harbor in Hawaii at Haleiwa, which is the epicenter of big wave riding worldwide. It's where the Triple Crown takes place and where the big wave Eddie Aikau takes place. We're known to get 50-foot Hawaiian scale waves, which is 100 feet. NOAA scale. NOAA is the National Oceanographic Administration Weather Service. And we went off last year in 20 to 25, but this year we're hoping more for something substantial like 40 feet, 30 to 40 feet Hawaiian scale, which is 60 to 80 feet. It's pretty much crazy. According to most of the modern world, the kind of waves we ride. We tow each other in with jet skis and a rope, a little strap board with foot straps, and we're basically snowboarding mountains of water.
You got quite a bit of prize money this year, and why don't you talk a little bit about that and some of the names that you think that will draw?
Yes, what it is last year in our inaugural year, we basically had very limited sponsorship, but because we got so much worldwide promotion in all the surf mags and extreme sports TV shows, and we've got a DVD coming out worldwide and a broadcast of Pacific Avalanche. The name of the spot we have the contest is at Avalanche. Avalanche outside of Haleiwa Harbor, about 2 miles out, is literally a watery avalanche of giant surf. And there's another spot right across the harbor where we might have it, depending on the swell direction, called Point to Point. That place also has gotten up 60 feet of giant right-hand breaking wave. So this year, Felony, a new clothing company out of Honolulu and formerly based out of Huntington Beach, Felony Streetwear, the PA, HonoluluStreetwear.com and Honolulu Streetwear Corporation. It has their logo line, Felony, and they're putting a big push on it. It's in the surf magazines everywhere. And we happened to hook up with them, and they put in 20 grand for a prize purse, 10 grand for the prize purse, 20 grand for the running of the event, and plenty more in T-shirts. So T-shirts are going to be flooding everywhere. And as a result, we're having guys calling up from Maui, from Jaws, from Mavericks, from California, from Peru, from Brazil, from France, from Japan, and they're getting ready to head on into Hawaii for the only really big tow-in surf contest in Hawaii this year. There's going to be an expression session at Jaws on Maui, but it's not quite big event. Our event is not huge, but it's got a $5,000 first place prize, and in the years to come, that will continue to escalate all the way up, hopefully to the levels of the $50,000 to $70,000 first prize that some of these big wave events have managed to muster. So we're stoked.
Now, who was involved in the event last year, and tell us a little bit about like the history of the event?
Well, okay, last year, my long-term towing partner, who, believe it or not, is from a little tiny wave place in Florida, near Boca Raton, and he managed to make it to Hawaii about 7 years ago and has been training with me for 5 years, Eric Fisher, and he teamed up with Matt Lozano, whose dad is Dick Lozano, runs the Dolphin Excursions tour out of the west side of Oahu, and tows with Brian Kealana of Baywatch fame and Billabong XXL Odyssey fame, and he's one of the big Beach Boys. So between my training of Eric and Victor and Brian's training of Matt, their teaming up was phenomenal. Not only that, but Eric at 27 and Matt Lozano at 17 were the youngest tow-in team on the slate, and they took it hands down. So that's really great. And then the second place team was Robbie Frangipani and second place team was Cully Kamasugi and Todd Kamasugi, who have been surfing out in front as brothers. Brothers teams always do real well because they've been working together ever since they were young, and they know each other, know how it works. Those guys pulled the giant tube ride that really should have won it for them. This year we're going to have the judges up on an 18-foot high scaffolding looking straight into the eye of these giant tubes, and we may have a slightly different skew on the results. But those guys were great, and they're gunning for it again this year. Third place was Robbie Frangipani and Todd Robertson. Robbie Frangipani has been toying with Ken Bradshaw quite a bit, and he's just a core charger. So is Todd. Those guys just put their head down and go for it, whatever it is. And then fourth place went to Dan Moore and his tow-partner, John Amundsen. And Dan Moore's the guy that won $68,000 in the Double XL Awards at Jaws last year, broke his ankle in the process, caught a humongous wave that mowed him in the end. But he's keen. They're all in again this year, and a slew of others. This year we've got over 50 teams that have been actually invited and put on the docket, because when the day comes, you get about 24 to 48 hours advance notice, and you never really know for sure until the night before or even the morning of if it's really going to be on or not. So with guys coming in from all over the world or hoping to, we have an advanced list, and what will happen is on the day of the event, whoever shows goes, basically, and we hope to have a full slate as a result by inviting too many guys. So that way, if it just the big swell of the century just pops up on us, we get out the advance notice to enough guys, and we'll have a full slate, possibly even rolling over into a 2-day event. And myself, I'm the guy. If anybody's out there has seen Riding Giants, which is Laird Hamilton's new film documentary, I'm the guy that they flew out by helicopter in 1985 to close out monstrous 70-foot plus outside pipeline log cabins, and without any jet ski, air tank, flotation jacket, straps, or fins, or any of the modern-day safety things that we do, I caught a wave that was one of the crazy big kahunas ever since. I also started towing surfing immediately when Laird and crew on Maui started. Myself and big wave rider Kenny Bradshaw got our first jet skis about 3 weeks after we saw Laird catch his first wave, towed in, and said, "Wow, that's the way to do it." And I've been towing with various partners, particularly Ron Barron, since 1994. So we're the veterans, and it takes a long time to get this sport wired. There's hand signals and eye signals and just all kinds of techniques that need to be done to get it dialed in. You're only as good as your driver. Your driver tows you in, you drive him in just as good, and then you have a good experience. But I've also been the voice of the surf in Hawaii since 1978. I was on the Surf Report on various channels. I've been writing surf news for North Shore News on North Shore for 20 years plus. I've been involved in the surf industry. I put up all the Triple Crown posters all over the island, and I've been interviewed on TV, radio, films, etc. I'm pretty much one of the big kahunas out here, and I have fun with it. That's why I call myself Ace Cool, and it's stuck. And if anybody's going to pull off an event like this, it's me, because I'm good at networking within the entire system of Fire Department, Lifeguards, Department of Land and Natural Resources, Division of Boating and Ocean Recreation, Coast Guard, Harbor Master, all of the tow surfers, all of the anti-jet ski people, all of the pro-jet ski people, and just in general, whereas in other parts of the world, jet ski towing surfing is being looked hard at as getting banned or regulated in this way, we've managed to work with the authorities, particularly myself, to the extent that they're looking at it as the thing that's going to draw more tourists to Hawaii and to make Hawaii even more of the extreme water sports capital that it always has been and is becoming more so. So it's quite an undertaking, but I'm very proud, and I think that it's going to be good for the whole industry and just the extreme sports movement in general.
Let's step back here. You just brought up something, and I want to ask you a little bit more about it, because you just, brushed right by it. But talk a little bit about getting dropped in by a helicopter into some surf like that.
Well, okay, here's the interesting thing is that Garrett McNamara, who was one of the world towing champions of recent years, has been doing a Stunt Junkies episode for one of the networks, and where they're towing each other in. I mean, they're towing in on a helicopter. In other words, they've got a weighted line from the bottom of the helicopter pulling them onto a wave, it's kind of a bastardization of what I actually did. I didn't get towed in by a helicopter. I got dropped in outside of 50-foot swells in the safe zone where you're not getting caught by the whitewater, and I just full-on turned around and paddled into that sucker, just grabbed it by the you-know-what. And so we were actually towing in ourselves behind a fishing boat with just a rope with a knot on the end. I was at Kayana Point and at Waimea Bay and other spots back in 1984. So that was 10 years before the tow-in revolution. So it's not a new concept. It's just that now the boards are being made lighter, or not lighter, heavier actually, but thinner and smaller, and set up more for speed on really fast tow surfing waves. Whereas in the old days, we would take a 11-foot board, 10-foot board, 9/6, 10-foot, 10/6, 11-foot, even 12-foot board to go catch these humongous waves. It was the only way you could do it. Now with the towing, you can pull in on a 6-foot board. I prefer about a 7-foot board, but those guys are like skateboarding on these monster faces. But back in those days, the only way to get out to those kind of waves was basically a boat or a helicopter. The jet skis were not at the level yet. They were only stand-up skis at that point. So the sport has come a long way as far as the waves were able to access. But what happened was, because of Riding Giants, there was this. Well, not just because of Riding Giants, but now Riding Giants, the film, has taken tow-in surfing to the modern audience worldwide. And through the movie, people are realizing that big wave riding has been going on for a long time, and what I was painted as in riding giants was as the missing link, if you will, between the old-time 1950s and 1960s big wave riders who went out on their big old tanker boards, and then surfing big waves kind of fell out of favor. Nobody was really doing it. The shortboard revolution had come in and such and such. But I always liked my big waves, so I decided to go out and catch the biggest wave ever. And Surfing Magazine put up a little money, and we were going to try and do it. Wildman Nice never did. Jim Wildman Nice was supposed to surf kind of point at some 40 to 50 feet, but he freaked out and went back to California, and there's a whole story to that. Surfer Magazine came to me when I had a surf shop in Haleiwa, the early surf shop there in the mid '80s, and they were looking at a semi-resurgence of big wave riding as another thing for them to cover. And like I was saying, Jim Wildman Nice had ridden outside Pipeline, 25, maybe 30 feet. He also got there by a helicopter when they were doing a save of somebody, but he took his board with him and decided to go out and catch a big wave. And then Wide World of Sports came to him and told him they're going to give him $12,000, which in those days, in 1974, was big money. And when he found out that kind of point, the supposed biggest wave in the world, was going to be somewhere near 50-something feet, he freaked out, chickened out, and got all screwed up and went back to the mainland. So they were still looking for their big wave, hero. And they came to me in the mid '80s, and they said, "Would you like to give this thing a try?" And so they paid for the helicopter, and I got quite a bit of exposure out of it. A postcard was launched that said "The Biggest Wave Hawaii," and that postcard has continued to blow out via Hawaii to the $1 million a year. Not me; I just get a few postcards here and there, but I'm definitely a household. We're a legendary big wave maniac named Ace Cool.
And that's what I've heard about you, that you're just crazy when it comes to big waves. And
well, it's not crazy. It's years of really pushing the envelope and knowing exactly what you can and cannot do. You're not going to go climb Mount Everest the first time without maybe climbing a smaller mountain. And that's the way it is with big waves. It's life and death. It's not to be screwed around with. You're actually quite sane. You have to be more extra sane. In fact, I've kept most of my tow partners alive by demanding they wear fins, by making sure their flotation jackets are good, by making sure we have extra gasoline on board. Every little tiny detail of this game that can put you in the danger zone where you could be dead. What am I going to tell their wives, girlfriends, friends, or whatever? Oh, well, they didn't do a certain thing. I just do it for them, remind them, and I've kept everybody alive. I've also probably saved several hundred lives in the surf with the jet ski, as a lifeguard, just as a citizen, and this is something you got to do. So we're out there not only to get each other into the danger zone of life-threatening waves, but also to pull each other out with a sled, a rescue sled on the back of the ski. We've got fins strapped on our body so that if we go down on the ski, we can swim it in or at least get in ourselves. We carry cellular phones in completely dry bags so that we can get in touch with whoever rescue patrol if we do go down, etc. We all know our CPR and our life-saving techniques, and we go out there with both eyes open. You have to.
You've watched a lot of the growth of tow surfing and of big wave surfing, and I know that a lot of the movies that are out there, and the accessibility of big waves it's just easier for people to just jump on a board with no surfing experience. And talk about a little bit of the problems.
It's out of control at Jaws. It's on Maui because Jaws escalates another 5 or 10 feet bigger on the biggest swells, and it's so close to shore that it can be easily shot with a camera from the cliffs, from the helicopters, and from directly in jet skis and boats right in front. But unfortunately, it breaks so close to shore that if you go down, you could very easily wind up on rocks 3 times the size of a car rolling around all over each other, ski on the beach, crushed up, have to get, whatever's left of it helicoptered out, etc. We surf the outer reefs a mile out. In fact, the law is we have to be 3,000 feet from shore. minimum. It's called the Ocean Recreation Management Area, minimum outside boundary line. And therefore, the chances of us hitting the bottom are not as good because the bottom is real deep. Now, also on Oahu, we have 10, 20, maybe even 30 really good outer reef breaks, depending on where the swell's coming from and how big it is. And so we get spread out that way. I'm kind of spoiled. Myself and my tow partner surfed basically alone for most of the 90s on all of these outer reef breaks. We'd sometimes take along another team just for safety in case anybody had to tow anybody else home. It's been paradise, and it's not going to get too much crazier because we're regulating the tow-in surfers with the classes and all of the sanctions that are being put on it. Right?
Well, and, you bring on another point. Your contest isn't going to be like a contest at Jaws or some of the other events that have been there. I mean, how is the judging going to take place? Is there going to be a channel where boats are going to be, or how are you?
Last year we tried it both ways. Last year in January when we had the initial startup of our event, the judges were out on the boat, and it got a little rough out there. The rains came, the wind came, the judges got a little queasy, and we kept surfing, but we canceled the event because the photographs were going to be gray, and the judges were going to get sick. And so the second day, we had a much cleaner day, but out of deference to the judges, we decided not to put them on the boat. They had a spotter on the boat, lots of photos going from the boat. But the boat doesn't always get the best angle either. It has to jockey position for position. So what we're doing this year is we're putting up one of the biggest scaffoldings in the surf business. It's an 18-foot high scaffolding, and if the judges stand up on a particularly good wave, there'll be another 6 feet up, so there'll be basically 24 feet, and that's another 10 feet above the water line. So they're like high enough, 35 feet high, to see into the eye of 25-foot waves when there's a 25-foot wave breaking in front of it. So I think we're going to get a really good view straight into the biggest day.
Well, and who are you bringing in to judge the event?
We've got the top-notch judges. It's Jack Shipley, Bernie Baker, and their crew that judge all the ASP events in Hawaii, a lot of the amateur events too, but they judge all of the Triple Crown events, Pipeline Masters, the Roxy Pro, the Hawaiian Pro, the O'Neill World Cup, the Eddie, etc. They're the best in the business.
Well, we're running out of time here, and I appreciate, all of the information that you've given us today. And
Ryan, let me tell you one other thing is that I want to thank Eric Akaskalian of ProTowSurfers.org and TowSurfer.com, a website you got to check out, for hooking me up with you. I hope to get back with you when we do run the event and give you a full-on rundown. If anybody's interested in our contest, they can check out Haleiwa, HALEIWA-TOW-IN. So dashes in between middle dashes, .com, HaleiwaTowing.com. I'm at acecool.com, just like it sounds, ACECOOL. And if anybody out there still wants to get in touch and get into this event, we're accepting all potentials that we know have the boot spot to handle it. I want to thank Felony for the PH, who has launched their huge clothing line out of Hawaii, for coming in as a sponsor. And definitely you, Ryan, for putting me out in 8 countries on this iPodcast.
Well, you know what? It's been really cool listening to your stories of the history of some of the big wave surfing. And, obviously everyone can come to my website, asnews.net, and Eric Akaskalian's towsurfer.com and get information on the event. We'll be looking forward to talking to you as your event, gets closer.
I'll get back to you regarding the event, and when it goes off, and what's the potential for next year. There's going to be a DVD coming out worldwide known as Pacific Avalanche. Don't miss it, and it's going to be broadcast in, who knows, in almost as many places as you're hearing my voice right now. Apparently, we have worldwide broadcasting going on as we speak. And there'll be another DVD being made of the next year's event. So stay tuned, sports fans.
All right, Ace. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks